Hello, 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 hello. Mic check, mic check. Welcome to my live. It has been a minute since I've been went live, and today I have a special guest and waiting for him to log on so I can, we're going to talk about grief. Let's talk about grief. Yes, so how's everyone doing today? On a scale 1 to 10, are you a 1? Are you a 10? Are you a 5? And it does not matter where you're at, as long as you know where you're at. Let me say it one more time. It does not matter where you're at. It matters to know where you're at, because that is called self-assessment. And in order to get through the go through, you need to self-assess. Okay, now how we get through the go through, we can just have someone we can talk to, maybe grieve what's going through. So let's talk about grief. So I am waiting for Darren. We decided we wanted to do a podcast, but he's on one side he's in California and I'm in Georgia, so we had no idea. He was like, let's just do live. And I was like, okay. So waiting on him. Yes, indeed. Let's talk about grief. Yes. And it's been a minute, like I said, so bear with me. Bear with me. I know I used to go live like once a week on here, and then I stopped because I went to my YouTube channel and I was on my YouTube channel doing recording some content on YouTube to post there. So you can always go to Karen Danzy and check out my channel and post. And I think last week's post was saying yes to yourself. So I post shorts on here, and then, yep. So we are on 2 different time zones, y'all. And me in time zones, let me tell y'all, I'm like, am I 3 hours ahead of you or 3 hours behind? He's like, Karen, you're 3 hours ahead of me and I'm 3 hours behind you. So I was like, okay, let's get it done. So, we are going to just discuss, let's talk about grief. It has been challenging moments, for myself, what's going on in the world, uncertainties, a lot of stuff. And yeah, I just like, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. And if you're joining, what does the grieving process means to you? Let's see. Do I supposed to bring him up? Hold on. Okay, Darren. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Invite. It's been a minute since I've been on here, so I am relearning how to go live on Instagram. I sent him the invite. So things has changed. Going live on Instagram. I remember I had to have my phone a certain way. So that was like, no, I ain't gotta have that. I'm telling you, you have started a live video. Okay. Alrighty. I am. While we waiting. Okay. Oh, he's unable to join. Okay. So hold on, y'all. We are. All right. Hold on. We gonna talk about. We gonna get this. I think that's how you do it. I think. Let's see. Okay. Ready? Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. We are getting this together. Okay. See, I just sent him a link. And if we don't have it today, we are going to have this is a conversation that we need to talk about. We're going to figure it out. Here we go. What's going on? Okay. Hey. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so I think what's going on, Darren? How you doing? Okay, here we go. All right, you have to be in you had to be in the room in order for me to send you the request. So I think I did it correctly. Okay, I sent the link. I think I was sending it to you had to be in the room in order to get the link. So alrighty. All right, welcome, Darren. How you doing? It's been a minute since I went live on here, so this is a relearning session for me. Okay. All right, you're here. Oh, I think I sent it. Okay, let's do it again. Invite. Okay, I sent the link. I sent the link. Oh, it's not letting join. Okay, let's do it again. I'm sending the link. It's saying invite. I hit your thing. Okay, I just sent the link. It said invite. Okay, it said not sure. All right, did you get it? Hmm. Let's see. I think I sent it. I sent the link. Okay, is it coming? Hey, what's going on?
I don't know why it came to my phone, but it won't go to my computer.
Oh, what is going on, my brother
What's
from another?
going on? So I guess I'm gonna have to do it from my phone then.
Yes. You know what? I think Instagram, you can't go through your computer and you have to do it through your phone. So I think that's what,
Ah,
yeah. It's been a minute since I did live, but like almost 2 years.
so let me find a tripod or
Okay.
something.
All right. Take your time.
So hold on, give me a minute.
Okay.
I didn't know I was going to do it. I didn't know I was going to do it off my phone.
I, I didn't either. Yeah.
So I got some little gadgets here. Let me.
Look, I work in my new tripod. Okay.
How you
Oh
feeling?
my gosh, I am good. I'm good, and finally I'm good, and I'm learning how to receive that. I'm learning how to be okay with being good. because I have been in survival mode for a long time, decades, and now things are happening. God is blessing, and I'm feeling good. So yeah.
All right.
So I put the topic in. I was like, what am I going to name this? I said, you know what? Let's talk about grief because that's what we're talking about. And we're
So
just going to go how it's going to go, how it's going to flow. We're just going to just talk about it, you know. I know
I'm
with
trying to
me.
figure out what my hold on, I probably gotta get another holder
Okay.
because my holder is not my
Welcome,
holder
lady.
is not holding right now.
Welcome, lady. How are you? Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining. What's up, Lady Rubio? What's happening? Hello, neighbor. So, uh, today, yeah, let's talk about grief.
Yes.
Let's talk about grief and how it impacts us in everyday
Mm,
life.
yes. So you got the floor. I just want to say first of all,
We got the floor. I'm going live with you. Don't try to make it all me.
I know. I just want to say thank you. We both was like, I was like, let's do a podcast. And he was like, well, I don't know how to go through different states. I said, either do I. He was like, okay, Instagram. So we did this. Man, let's talk about grief. So I've been there. There's different forms of grieving. And I think with me, to me, what does grieving mean? It means accepting the trauma that you experienced that turned your life around, that just changed your being. Just thinking about the different trauma that I have been through. I wasn't able to grieve. Most recently, I started grieving. Oh my gosh. I remember accepting what happened, going through the process. I was sexually assaulted,
Okay.
and I talked about that. And I remember you writing something on your page about the process, and I was like, "Dang, that's how I felt." And I remember not seeing their faces. And once I started processing, I remembered their faces, and I was okay with that because I was grieving what I had lost. And I say that in because I lost who I used to be, and
Definitely.
and but I'm not defined about what happened to me. But I had to grieve in order to accept what happened to me, in order to become healthier. You know, not saying it's okay, but just the act itself. You know, that's what I had to grieve, what they did to me. So yeah, so that's what grieve to in a broader sense means to me. So what does grieving mean to you?
So to me, first I want to say thank you for sharing that because that took a lot of courage and it's a lot to share a personal story and be that vulnerable.
Mhm.
So grief is many things. Grief is so complex, like it is like no one size fits all type deal.
Mhm.
And at the bottom of it, in your case, like you're grieving something that was taken away from you and you had no control over that.
Right.
So I like to tell people who've experienced things such as that is you take comfort in knowing that had that happened to you today,
Hmm.
it would be a much different outcome because what happened to you as a child or as a young adult, you had no control over. It was all on the person who committed the act
Hmm.
and had nothing to do with you.
Right.
And that that is exactly like how I help people process that, like how to honor your pain and then still keep going.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we can't always control what happens to us,
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, if we reflect on some of the things that happened to us, like I was physically abused as a child. Like I got whoopings, well, beatings, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I was afraid of my father for a long time. I couldn't control that. But now as a grown man, like I know now that like ain't nobody beating me. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
and I tell people you don't even have to accept what happened to you. You just have to acknowledge it. Cause to me, acceptance means you agree with it. And we'll never agree with things like that. We just have to acknowledge that those type of things happen and we had no control over it and take that pressure off of us.
Wow. That's powerful.
Because acceptance is very powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to say that I accept something that happened to me that I don't agree with makes it hard for me to makes it hard for me to process it
Right.
because that's the part that I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But if I say I acknowledge it and I understand that it happened and I am being intentional about growing through this process, it just makes it easier for me to move through it and be and remain a good human.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So take that weight off you
Yes.
and just say, I acknowledge what happened to me, but I don't agree with it. So like look at it like this.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to buy something like a car and you sign a contract and you accept the contract, that means you agree with the terms that's on that contract.
Right.
You can't acknowledge a contract.
Right.
And so that's accepting the contract between the incident that happened and you. Right? That's a lifelong contract that you not accepting. You just gonna acknowledge that the contract was written, and then now we're gonna process through those emotions and we're gonna give it back to the assailants. Right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna take that heavy weight off of us because we didn't have no say so in that. Right? Because it was done against our will.
Right.
And so once I explain that to a lot of people, it like opens up a different wave of thought process.
Yeah, it does.
And it allows people to move more freely.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does.
And I heard something a couple days ago that was so powerful to me when we're dealing with therapy and therapists. It said a psychologist says, what's wrong with you? Somebody that's social asks what happened to you. So I like to take the social approach as in what happened to you, and what happened to you wasn't necessarily your fault. And sometimes it's just bad people that do bad things. And it's up to us to either acknowledge it and learn how to be intentional about processing it, or living a life in denial. And so over the last couple of years, we've been talking, and I've gotten you from a place of denial, right?
Yeah.
Because when we were first talking, you were in denial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, that's not gonna help you grow.
Right.
So now we gotten you to this place, and somehow the message was missed, and you felt like you had to accept it, right? Because you started off saying I accept it. And that's not that was never my intention to get you to accept it. The intention was to get you to acknowledge it, because to me, acceptance means agree with, and you'll never agree with the situation that happened to you, or the situation that any situation that has an adverse effect on us. 9 times out of 10 we will never agree with it.
Right.
But we still have to acknowledge that it happened.
And that's true, because now that you say it that way, I acknowledge, because I don't agree with it, because I didn't, I didn't agree with it, but I acknowledge it. So I shouldn't have to accept it, but I do acknowledge it, because me accepting it leads it on to the perpetrators who took my no and turned it into their yes. So yeah.
And so now saying that, how does that make you
Oh
feel?
my gosh, powerful. Like, a weight lifted off my shoulder, because I acknowledge that it happened. So I'm owning it, not the act itself, but the situation. So I acknowledge, and now it's I can now move forward of healing more, abundant, more, not just stay stuck,
And
and
just
I
being intentional about the healing process,
intentional.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So I see we have 3 people on now.
Mhm.
And if you're watching this and you're grieving, I want you to know I see you. And if you feel like you're falling apart now, just know that you're not alone. It's a lot of people in the world hurting. And today we're talking about grief and the many forms that it comes in, and how we can begin to process this grief so we can begin to live a healthy, happy life and find some joy again in our life, because we all deserve to find joy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if that's you, I want everybody to take a deep breath and just understand, for right now, you are enough. You know what I'm saying? And allow some of that weight to be lifted off you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So now, what does grief mean to you?
So for me, I've been dealing with my daughter being murdered. So
Mm-hmm.
grief means to me that I am now forced to live a life without my
Mm-hmm.
child. And in my instance, when you lose a loved one, the root of my grief is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the pain is so deep because the love was so deep between me and my child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I preface this by saying grief is many things. Grief is so complex. Grief can come in many different forms and many different faces, depending on the origin
Mm-hmm.
of the grief, right? So if you're grieving the child in you, so like when I think about grief from my childhood, it's rooted in pain and hurt, right? And things that I couldn't control. So to me, that grief means it's rooted in powerlessness.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm feeling powerless, that means I have to do things to get my power back.
Right.
And so now that I'm 25 years, 30 years removed from that,
Mm-hmm.
I've gained a lot of power, because I took a picture of my dad the other day, and I stand like I'm 6'1". He like 5'9",
Uh-huh.
5'10".
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So I got my power back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what aspect of the grief origin that we're talking about will depend on the answer to that question, because the different origins have a
Mm-hmm.
different answer, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm dealing from my childhood trauma is more than likely rooted in powerlessness.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm dealing with the grief from losing or my daughter being taken away from me,
Mm-hmm.
is rooted in love, because uh the love was so deep, so the grief is so deep,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So and so it's like no one size fits all for
Yeah.
grief.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people, when they say, I remember when I lost my mom, she died from a massive heart attack. So that grief came from love. And I remember somebody told me, why aren't you over your mother's death? And that's like, oh my
So that's covered in the things not to say to people that's grieving.
Exactly.
You know what
And
I mean? So
yeah.
it's things people say to people when they're
Mm-hmm.
grieving, and there's better alternatives,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, people say some of the craziest things to people,
Yeah.
and it's just like you could have just not said
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the anger that just came over me, like, excuse me, how dare you? Because me and my mom was close, and I remember when I lost her, I was angry with God. I didn't want God. No, don't pray over me. And I tell people, don't pray over me. I don't want your prayers. you know.
Hey, it be like that sometimes though. So
Yeah.
it just like at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's like things not to say to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time heals all wounds.
No, oh my
They're
God.
they're in a better place.
Oh
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
all those things, or it happens. It happened for a reason. They wouldn't want you to be sad. Stay strong. Those are all things not to say to
Right.
somebody.
Right.
And it people just don't know what to
They don't
say. People,
until they go through their own loss.
and
Until
then
some.
they still don't know what to say.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. I just choose
still don't know
not
what
to
to say
say no.
because
Right.
the world is filled with people that don't know what to say, and we've been conditioned or programmed to say those type of things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very unhelpful
Yeah.
to try to, I want to say, it's almost like it's almost like um
Mm-hmm.
minimizing your pain,
Right.
and so you felt violated. That's why you got angry,
Yeah. Yeah.
because a boundary was crossed, and your anger is there to assist you
Mm-hmm.
when a boundary is crossed. Like anger is, like I made a video today. Anger is not always a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to
Yeah.
get angry in that moment, it would have let them know not to say that to you again.
Right.
Now you can't cuss them out or you can't explode, but you can sternly correct somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a way to correct people
Mm-hmm.
without being disrespectful, but
Right.
just letting them know that that's not what you should have said to me.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, like people say stuff to me sometimes, and I don't have time to count to 10, so I count from 5
Mm-hmm.
backwards, and then I just offer a better solution.
Right.
So like when somebody says um, everything's happened for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and people like to say that, and then I just tell them, well, this isn't fair,
Right.
so I can't find a reason for this to happen, and this is like, it's better to say I'm just so sorry you have to experience this.
Right. Right. I
And
rather for somebody not to say anything. Just don't. Because right now, especially in the beginning stages, because I could not comprehend, like, what are you telling me that my mother had a massive heart attack? She wasn't sick, you know?
yeah,
So she kept her health from her loved ones. So when she had, and I'm like, what do you mean a black woman had a heart attack? Women don't have heart attacks. So everything was new. So I was just justifying, like, why did she leave? Like, I don't understand that. And I know the lady that I was talking to that comes into the place of employment, and her husband passed away like 9 years ago, and she still is trying to deal with it. And she's shunned upon, like, why aren't you, it's 9 years later, what's wrong with you? But this was the love of her life. So, just her and
so
I talking.
so some people get stuck in their grief longer than
Hmm.
they need to be
Hmm.
because they won't talk to people.
Mm.
When you lose a sibling, a
Mm-hmm.
child, a parent,
Mm-hmm.
a significant other,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't talk to someone, it causes you to be stuck in your grief because there's no way you could process that level of pain and emotion without
Mm-hmm.
assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it don't necessarily have to be a therapist. You don't have to be a therapist to help
Right.
people process their grief. You just have to be someone that has empathy, compassion, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been holding on to it for 9 years because she won't talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why people don't talk to people, because when they open up to the people that's closest to them, that's in their circle, that's supposed to love them, they say things like, you should be over it by now,
Yeah.
which makes you internalize it and hold on to it a lot longer than you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Grief only evolves as you process it.
Mm-hmm.
If you never process the phase of grief that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
or the part where you at, you'll never grow. And so the next time you see that lady,
Mm-hmm.
let her know that she's not alone and that you're a safe
Mm-hmm.
space. And just watch the weight lifts
Mm-hmm.
off her shoulder. She's been looking for 9 years for a safe space to share her emotions. And every place that she's tried to land has rejected her in some form, and it has not resonated with her. When I was in Greece,
Mm-hmm.
it was a lady that was 70 plus years old,
Mm-hmm.
and her son had been murdered 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she was holding on to so much because no one understood her pain. I talked to that lady for 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
over breakfast, watched her cry, watched her release some emotions, and she told me that that was the best conversation she's had in 22 years.
Wow. Wow.
Simply because I was willing to listen without. So you have to be willing to listen without trying to fix the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give people a safe space to land.
Right.
A lot of people don't know how to give people safe spaces to land. They always want to offer some type of advice, tips, tricks, and that's not what you want to hear when you're trying to process your
Right.
pain.
Right.
You just need a safe space to land. And when I'm done, then we can let me get it all out
Right.
first.
Right.
And then let's double back and see if I even want the advice.
Right. Right. True.
Unless you've been walking with me for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
then we already built some type of rapport.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as this
Yeah.
lady as this lady come into your establishment, just create the safe space for her, because she's been stuck, because everywhere she turns, it's some form of rejection.
Right. And her and I have been we have stopped established that connection. I'm her safe space, as she tells me. She says, "You're my therapist because you listen to me." So the fact that
Ain't that what I just said?
huh?
That ain't that what I
Yeah,
just said?
yeah. So when you were saying that, I was like, well, we do have that connection. So, um, and she, it's like you never know. I tell people, you never know what someone is going through. You never know. You never know. And just the compassion. Just
So
talk about.
we have to create a world where people start caring again.
Whew, yeah.
Nobody cares.
No, nobody cares. Like really, literally,
So
nobody.
we have to begin to be the people that care.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have the shirt "Lead with Love."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to start caring again. You have to show the person that I see the human in you. It, and so not only does that create a deeper bond, like she probably looks at you as a more of a friend than her best friend that she's had for years.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because her best friends she had for years just don't want to hear the shit.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should be over it by now. Why are you still thinking about this? And not understanding the gravity or the level of pain
Mm-hmm.
that someone experiences when they lose a spouse, the love of her
Mm-hmm.
life. Like I'll be transparent here.
Mm-hmm.
My mom passed away last year.
Mm-hmm.
And when she passed away, her friends finally stepped up and was telling me and my brothers so much about our mom that
Mm-hmm.
we never knew,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because my mom, like many people that grew up in her era, wouldn't talk.
Mm.
And she wouldn't, since we were her children, she wouldn't give us the vital information that we needed, which left us thinking that something was wrong with our mom. But our whole life, like since I was 5, my mom has been living with a broken heart because the way my dad separated himself from her crushed her,
Mm-hmm.
and she never was able to talk to nobody about it. So for 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
my mom lived with a broken heart,
Wow.
right? And so we never understood why she was never to move forward. And from our point of view, it's like he ain't like
Right.
just find another
Yeah.
dude. But the way her friends explained it made it make much more sense.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So it you gotta give people the space to tell their story.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we'll do more lives like this
Yes.
to
Yes.
give people the space or permission to tell their stories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important and to let people know, peer back into the world. How can we do it? Technology. Let people know, let people see we care about what you're going through. We're not going to judge you. We care about what's happening because people have lost hope. People have lost hope.
Exactly. People have lost hope in humanity,
Oh
period,
yeah.
right?
Oh
But
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's and we see it in everyday life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And social media helps because you can't say murder on
Right.
social media. You got to say unalived or something like
Yeah.
that, right? But they'll show someone
Right.
get murdered on social
Right.
media.
Right. Right.
I
Or
can visually watch someone lose their life on social media, but I can't say.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just like, I remember when I heard that, I was like, what in the world is unalive? That's the same as, but it's like people are sugarcoating the pain. Like when I heard someone say SA, and I'm like, what in the world is SA? You mean sexual assault? That's nothing to sugarcoat. And
Yeah.
it's like, let's sugarcoat, but yet you're going to show the picture of someone being sexually assaulted. You're going to tell the story. You're going to say, instead of sexually assaulted, you're going to say SA to make it more dignifying, which is not, it is not
It's
dignifying.
not.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to talk about the why. And I'm gonna read, I read the book.
you said the why.
The why. I
Okay.
want to read a part in my book, and I know you have written a book, so I want you everybody to know your book. But in my book, I talked about why, and after the situation, and Sophia is going through what happened, and this is something that I had to deal with, and I wrote it in the book, and it says, after everything that happened, it said I opened my eyes again, and the sun was different. This time I was in my bed. I did not even remember falling asleep. I definitely did not remember getting in bed. The last thing I can recall is checking the door is locked. If I'm in bed, I thought then it all really must have been a bad dream. Just a very, very bad dream. Oh, thank God. It was just a dream. I sat up quickly. The pain tore through my skull, reminding me of my head being slammed against the bathroom mirror. I looked down at the bruises on my arms and legs, surprisingly visibly on my brown skin. I pulled my robe tighter against my body and cocooned myself in comfort. I shut my eyes tightly, held my breath to stop the sobbing welling up. No use. The dam burst in guttered wailing of Why, God, why? Why did you do this? I scream. Why did you let this happen? How could you? How could you let this happen? What did I do? What did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Why didn't you save me? What did I do? And I wrote that because I felt like I was like, God, why did you let this happen to me? It was me trying to wrap my head around what happened, and like, God, why did you do that? Why did you let this happen? You a God who see that all. So I had to deal with the why. So, can we touch bases on the why?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that that was powerful and thank you for sharing that. And my perspective is if we believe in God, we have to believe in the devil,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And God didn't allow that to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Evil forces are in this world and sometimes they win and sometimes evil forces do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so God has been with you ever since the situation
Mm-hmm.
happened. But I don't believe God had anything to do with that situation. Sometimes the devil just do stuff and it's not right. It's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we do God a disservice when we blame God for things that happen,
Right.
right? There is no way that we can say someone who is not the author of chaos and confusion would
Mm-hmm.
leave you that confused,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because people like to say that author is not the God is not the author of chaos and confusion, and I believe that it's a lot of negativity in this world, and it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of bad people in this world, and I've never done a bad thing thinking about God.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you've done some bad things, right?
Right.
And when you was doing it, God was the last thing on your mind.
Right. 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 Right.
So so how unfair of us is it to blame God when
Right.
something happens instead of giving him the credit for helping
Yes.
us
Yes.
overcome and
Yes.
walking with us through it, right? So
Yes.
I don't blame God for my daughter being murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was an evil person that did that for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? And God has been walking with me every step of the way since my daughter has been murdered.
Mm. Yeah.
And so we have to we it's always two sides of a coin,
Right.
right? And to blame God for all the negativity in the world
Right.
or saying that or people like to say he allowed it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that doesn't make any sense. Like either he's a good person or he's not.
Right. Right.
You can't be both.
Right.
And
Right.
but this is just I'll make full
Mm-hmm.
disclosure. These are my
Right.
beliefs,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Like
Right.
if we're going spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
we have to it's a opposite end to everything.
Yeah.
It's two sides to everything. And so when them gentlemen did that, God wasn't on their mind.
Right. No. Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
so and so then to so that's another part of the difficulty it is to process these type of things, right? Because we're blaming God and then we're looking to God to fix the problem that we blame him for.
Right. Right.
That's very difficult.
Yeah, it
When
is.
when you think about it,
Yeah.
you blaming him for this and then you ask him to fix it or carry me through. No, let's separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
The bad forces in the world did that.
Right. Yeah.
And now I'm looking to God to give me the
The
guidance
guy.
and the wisdom to
Yeah.
see me through this.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Yeah.
And we have to learn how to carry our grief and still keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the grief would never so what happened to you would never leave you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people hinder themselves by thinking that this is what happened to you becomes a part of you.
Right. Yeah.
And you'll probably never forget it. Like it'll be moments in time where it, goes deep into the back of your mind
Mm-hmm.
until it's triggered again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once, and I don't even like to say triggered, I like to say activating event.
Right.
Because once you are able to process it a little bit and you are able to make it subside and you grow through that part of the grief journey.
Mm-hmm.
So grief is a lifelong journey and we'll be learning this for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
The things that happened to you, the thing that happened to my daughter, I'll be carrying that. It is now a part of my being. There's no way I can separate myself from it. When you are sexually assaulted, there's no way you can separate yourself from it. It's been years already and it still affects you. Right now, we're just learning how to
deal with
not let it affect us as much in a negative way. And we're learning how to carry our grief from that, understanding that, all right, cool. I got to process it this way today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I might process it this way.
Right.
But both ways is perfectly fine.
Right. Yeah.
So,
You just said something powerful that people think because they grieve something, it's over.
no, it's always a part of you. It's always a part of you.
Let's grieve it so we can move on or get over it. So that's like you're saying that grief is going to be the solution to make it go away, which you just stated. Grief is always going to be part of you,
So at some parts of our life, we're able to not think about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then an activating event, a smell, a song,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, will activate those thoughts again, and then we have to process them again. But what happens is the 10th and 11th time we have to process it, we have built more tools around how we process it that it becomes easier, but it never goes away. And it could be years before another activating event happens to you before you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do, due to the age and the maturity and the new tools that you've learned since then, it probably make it easier to process, but you still have to process those.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think by people not understanding the human psychology, for lack of a better term, or the way people think,
Mm-hmm.
there is no way that you will be able to just totally forget what happened to you.
Right. Yeah.
And anybody that tells you that, right, you subconsciously put up a barrier, right? You walk away from some conversations feeling like that person didn't hear you or that person, you know what I mean? And so when you feel like that, naturally you put up a barrier and you like, okay, I'm not talking to them about that no more.
Yeah, because they don't
And the more things,
understand.
and the more things you feel like you can't talk to somebody about, the less you talk to them people.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they out your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you have to just get around people that are willing to allow you to express your emotions and offer you a safe space.
Right.
Right. And you have to listen to yourself without judging. So that's the first part, is stop judging yourself. Because we've had some conversations where you were judging yourself, and I'm like, nah, that's not how that go.
Yes.
That's
Been
not
judging
how that.
myself a lot.
And in this situation, it's best not to judge yourself. Just allow those emotions to surface.
Uh-huh.
Understanding that now, I'll preface this by saying that you are responsible for how you show up, no matter how you feel.
Yeah.
So no matter how angry you get, you can't go around tearing shit up.
Okay.
But you have the right to be angry though, right?
Yeah.
So, but you don't have a right to destroy nothing.
Right.
And so
Even
you have
myself, I don't have the right to destroy
you
myself.
don't have the right to destroy yourself either, right? And so, like the video I posted the other day, where I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm trying to process the pain
Mm-hmm.
of thinking about what would Nana be doing if she was still here,
Mm-hmm.
and I found myself drinking. Like drinking by itself is not bad,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I was on drink number 4.
Okay.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, which allowed, which what as I asked myself those questions, I just put my red cup down and went to bed and just told myself I'll try again tomorrow.
Right.
Like I'll try to process this again tomorrow. But I didn't judge myself for drinking because this is a part of like the grief that I'm carrying is heavy, and I'm in the comfort of my home, so I'm not drinking and driving. So
Right. Right.
and I only share that to show you that it's not gonna be perfect. We're not striving for perfection.
No.
We striving for progress.
Yes, and that's
You know what I
so
mean?
powerful.
So
Progress.
I'm not looking for. Don't look to yourself for perfection. Just look for a sign of progress. And this healing journey is a lifelong journey, and you're gonna be on it for the rest of your life. But we gonna make the rest of our life the best of our life, and we not gonna let this hinder us anymore. Because now we know that we're not responsible for it.
Nope.
We don't have to accept it. We just have to
Yep.
acknowledge that it happened.
Yep.
So we're gonna take that weight off of us trying to accept it.
Yep.
And we understand that some days gonna be heavier than others. And that's
Yep.
okay. And when we can't find a soft space to land, we're gonna give it to ourselves.
Yeah. That's true.
We gonna create a safe space for ourselves to land. We're gonna look for people to validate our emotions, and we're gonna validate our own emotions. And then
Yes.
we're gonna give ourselves the grace to grow through empathy, understanding, and compassion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice to get it from other people,
Right.
but we have to be able to give it to ourselves.
Yeah. 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 We have to reciprocate our own love.
So you have to start talking to yourself like you're talking to your 5-year-old niece.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the reminder.
People laugh when I say that,
No,
but
I'm laughing. It's a grief because you told me that before and I have not. I forgot
you
about
you
that.
you have to talk to yourself like you're talking to your 5-year-old niece or your 5-year-old granddaughter, or like any 5-year-old little girl that walk up to you. You talk to them like even me. A little girl walk up to me. I am a gentle teddy bear. I got a couple dollars for you.
I'm like,
I'm gonna get on one
oh,
knee. I
yeah,
probably, man. One day I caught myself playing patty cake with a little girl,
yeah,
but it is the gentleness that
yeah,
we display to little girls that we need to display to ourselves, and we don't display it to little boys, and we need to.
yes, yes,
We need
yes,
to start displaying the same kindness to little boys.
yeah,
Maybe not the patty cake,
yeah,
but still a
yeah,
level of
and it's
compassion.
yeah. That's one thing that making the world a better place. The little boys need love too because if they're growing up without love, how are they supposed to love their mate?
And so I didn't learn until maybe 2015, 16, after I
Hmm.
had already left my first wife,
Hmm.
that the man was responsible for provide nurture too. Like I was raised to provide and protect.
Hmm.
Nobody ever told me that I was supposed to nurture my children too,
Mm, yeah,
because
yeah.
I was never nurtured as a young man, right? And in fact, on my 18th birthday, my pops woke me up just to kick me out.
Wow.
And so it's like, but like I said earlier, as
Hmm.
we get older, as we get mature, and we learn new things,
Learning.
we learn how to process things a little differently, and so therefore,
Yeah.
we must uh, go back and self-reflect on things that we done wrong or ways that we could have did it better, and then carry those lessons
Yeah.
forward. So
Yeah.
today was a self-reflection day for you.
Yes. Yes. And
And
I always tell my sons, I was like, you matter. And I just want to let you know that you matter, because our young men, our men are saying that they don't hear this enough, that they matter. And I tell my son, you matter, because I don't know if they're hearing it from someone, if they're hearing it from whoever they're in a relationship at the time. And as far as
hold on,
they get
let's
nurturing
take a
from
moment
us,
let's
huh?
take a moment to recognize
Yeah.
Tower for Hire, salute
Yes.
King, K Slim 15, bless you too. And it's the stuff that we have to unlearn as adult women and men. It's sad, but it's also so necessary. That is
Yes.
absolutely true.
Yes. Yep.
Love you, distant cousin.
Yes. Thank
So
you for joining. Thank you for joining. We are going to do this. This is something
this is just
we
something
need.
that we did on the fly.
Yeah, we
I
did. Hey,
I
y'all.
know your
Thank you.
name, teacher. But I know your name, but you K Slim on 15 on Instagram, so I was honoring your K Slim
Yes.
cousin. So
Yeah,
so
we have to intentionally do this at least once a month, you
yeah,
know.
most definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
And
So,
so uh I want you to know that, like I said earlier, your grief is not gonna go away, but
mhm,
you just learn how to carry it differently, and you learn how to process it in a way that allows joy back into your life.
mhm,
The joy will not erase the pain,
right.
but it can grow alongside of it, and it can coexist.
Mhm.
Like what's the famous saying? Two things can be
Yeah,
true at the same time.
yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
you can experience joy and what's up, DJ Mom? Hey, thank you. So you can experience joy again
Mhm.
without discrediting your pain.
Mm, that's powerful.
You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't want you to I don't want you to believe that by you being happy or experiencing joy that you're discrediting your pain. No, they can coexist together, and always remember that even when you're experiencing like your deepest pain,
Mhm.
you still deserve a sense of peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like it is it is the way we have been conditioned
Mhm.
is to always uh the way we've been conditioned almost discredit us as humans.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're just as complex as our grief.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, what is if you have a final? Because it's 12:53 now. We
I
got
know.
7 minutes.
My
We
thing
got
is
7 minutes before we get off of here.
okay. I just like
What
to.
is another question that you have for me?
Um. Wow. I just. I don't. I mean, what my thing is. Let's
That means
let's
I did my job.
let's end. Let's end. With one word that you would tell yourself. One word
So
you would tell yourself.
it's not one
One
word.
thing that you would tell
So
yourself.
it's not one thing that I would tell myself. I tell myself many things to keep myself sane.
Okay.
The biggest one is everything that you're experiencing is perfectly okay.
Mm,
Every emotion that you're experiencing due to the fact that what you experience is okay.
mm,
It doesn't make you weak to cry. So
mm,
perfect. Learn how to laugh without feeling
mm,
guilty and
mm,
cry without feeling weak.
mm. Says grief for the Grief comes in waves. I allow the tears to flow when they come. It is one of the most powerful coping tools. I wake up with joy every morning. God is good. Amen. Amen.
God
Thank
is def-
you.
God is definitely good.
Hmm.
Amen. And yes,
Yes.
tears are like a release valve for your emotions.
Yes.
And so yes, I cry a lot as well. I like to use people Instagram names. I know they real names, but I don't know if they like their real names to be displayed. DJ Mom 96.
Welcome.
I cry so much. I haven't cried this much in years. But I understand that crying doesn't make me weak. It
Hmm.
actually builds me up to be stronger.
Yeah.
So yes, grief definitely comes in waves.
Yeah.
And we have to ride these waves like the best surfer in the world.
Hmm.
And then sometimes we fall off our surfboard and land in the water,
Yeah.
and that's okay too.
Yeah.
Just don't allow yourself to drown.
Yeah. And I
So
think as an independent woman that we are conditioned not to cry, because that means that we are not strong. And being an independent woman, I think vulnerability is the most powerful thing. And I'm preaching to myself because I haven't cried. Like, I cry a little, but I can cry for others' pain, but I can't cry for my own pain.
we're gonna fix that.
Okay.
We're gonna fix that. Yeah, you are allowed to cry for your pain,
Yeah.
right? You
We're
you're
gonna
you're
fix it.
allowed to, huh?
We're gonna fix it.
We're gonna fix that. And just remember that you're not weak, you're not crazy, you're grieving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you think crime makes you weak, that's weak.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You cry, let them tears flow. And you already know I'm walking this road with you, so
Yeah.
you're not
I know.
alone.
I know. You
We
have.
we
I
we gonna take it.
appreciate you.
We're gonna take it one moment at a time. We've been having these conversations behind the scenes for
Years.
a few years now.
Yeah. Can you believe it? Oh my God.
Yeah, I can. So
Yes. It become a walking time bomb, like my console. Yes. Okay. K Slim, I'm working on that. Okay. I am going to, and I'm going to cry. Okay. I can cry for other things, but I thank you. Thank you guys. This has been what is 3:57. My final words is learn how to cry. Like, I'm going to learn how to cry. I forgot how to cry for myself, and I'm going to learn how to cry. So, yeah.
like I said, just act like you talking to a 5 year old. Act like you just seen a 5 year old fall off
Okay.
her bike. Cry
Yes.
for her.
With that being said, we will see you next month. Next month, we will get together and find out when's the best time, so we can be intentional. And
Yeah,
let's talk about
you be
grief.
intentional.
Yes, let's talk about grief. So this is our first episode.
Yeah, this is our first. This is this
Our
is this is
first
our
episode.
this is our first. This is our first live together. It's the
Yes,
one of many.
yes.
Um, and my closing statement is, let me think. Let me think. Let me think. I got so many. I got so many. Uh,
What's your
okay,
top
DJ
one?
Mom. Next time we gon' so we just did this one on the fly.
We
So
did.
next time we gonna create a little flyer and put it out like a day or two before to
Yeah,
let people know that we're going live.
yeah,
Or you can hit the notification button and it'll let you know next time either one of us go live.
yeah. Add me,
So
add me, add me to your thing so
so
you get that notification.
all right. I think the best thing to leave everybody with is understand that you don't have to do this alone.
Mm.
Find you a safe space to land. If you can't find a safe space to land, create it yourself and become that safe space for someone else. Like it is important for us to all become safe spaces for someone to land, including ourselves. And then with that being said, I want y'all to know that, as always, I love y'all.
Love you
Peace.
too. Thank you, D Money. I will follow you back. Okay, DJ Mom 96. So thank you for following me. All right, until next time. See you next time. All right,
Until
bye-bye.
next time.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.